joined, and Senator Miller, Senator Draheim, Senator Jensen. I think we've got a couple more committee members that are going to join us, but if you can have us go live, we'll get going here.
All right, we're good to go.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody back to the Senate Higher Education Committee. Today is Tuesday, September 1st, 2020 at 1 o'clock. And I appreciate, I've talked to many of you. We were hoping with the return of school, return of campus here for the fall and all that's going on with COVID and preparations, that we could have an update from the University of Minnesota and Min State and the private colleges. So we'll get right into it. And the plan is to have our speakers, each of the systems take about 10 minutes to go through kind of what's going on coming back to campus, a little bit of an update, how they're dealing with COVID, how they're dealing with testing, how they're dealing with students returning to campus and faculty and all that, and then have a period of time for questions. But we, just for time considerations, I may move us along if we need to, but we will jump right in. And we've got President Pribenow from Augsburg University. And President, if you want to go ahead and share your PowerPoint, and go ahead and we'll ask questions as we go along. Members, if you can either text myself or Tricia, or in the chat, let me know that you'd like to ask a question. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. It's great to be with you, and happy to be here representing the 17 private colleges and universities as part of the Minnesota Private College Council. So this is a picture of from 1 year ago today, when we welcomed the class of 2023 to Augsburg. It was the largest class in our history and the most diverse class in our history, and we could actually have them all there shoulder to shoulder on the front steps of our old main building. What a difference a year makes. As you know, I like to think about the work we've all had to do in three horizons, if you will. The first horizon was, of course, getting through the spring semester effectively. I think we all did that in various ways. We pivoted quickly and were able to help our students finish strong. The next horizon, of course, is what we're primarily focused on today, which is the preparations for what is starting on our campuses right now across the state. And the third horizon, which I will say just a word about at the end, is actually about what we're learning from this, about ourselves, about our students, about our communities, that actually can shape this work going forward. So, I have spent the summer leading this work here at Augsburg with the 3 C's in mind, if you will, 3 C's. First is communication. I think one of the key things we've all learned is just the importance of being very transparent in our communications for all our constituencies, certainly our students, our faculty and staff, our alumni, our parents. It became very important that they get regular updates and that we keep them engaged in this process. Again, because we weren't together virtually to be able to be together in person, we had that to use the technology, and we did a whole series of town halls. We did 10 different alumni gatherings throughout the summer. All of this meant to really help people to understand what we were working on. So communication, number one. Second was connection. We know that one of the things that we're losing at all of our institutions across the state, public and private, is some of the best of what we do, which is in-person work, building community, having those kind of peer and mentor relationships with faculty and staff. So we had to find ways to create connection using technology or other means. And we've found that we have great creativity and imagination at all of our institutions. For example, here at Augsburg, we ran all of our summer orientations for our entering class using Zoom and breakout rooms. And come to find out, we got amazing positive responses from students to that experience, because we were actually able to focus in on them, build relationships in those breakout rooms, provide them the information they needed to know what they could expect when they came back here. So just one example of how we're trying to create connection in this time of social distancing. And then the third, of course, is costs. That's my third C, and that really stands for the fact that this is a significant challenge to all of our institutions to think about both the lost revenue. For Augsburg, that means, for example, a lot of lost auxiliary revenue. As you know, we had to provide credits to students who moved out of the residence halls early in the spring. We have a very sort of substantial international education program. We have no travel, of course, to our sites around the world. So it's both lost revenue, and then it's all the extra costs that we have had to incur as we've brought new technology into place, provided technology to our students and their families if they needed it, be able to meet some of their very special financial challenges for families, especially that had lost their jobs and other challenges in their life. So all of that has been the kind of shaping, if you will, framework for the work that we've done in preparation for the fall. I would just say one quick word about my title here. We are really presenting this as a epic historic moment for our students and trying to change the narrative away from what was a narrative of loss in the spring to one that says, what are you going to learn here in this fall, this unprecedented fall that will in fact shape your life going forward. And so for the entering class 2024, we welcomed them this morning at an opening convocation that was virtual. We had 600 of them watching on the live stream. And I gave them the same message I give every year, which is show up, pay attention, and do the work. And they all remember that when they're graduating seniors and we come back to them. So let me give you just a quick overview then of our planning. So this, you will hear this from all of my colleagues today. These are the broad areas of planning that we have been about really going back to last spring. Certainly foremost, health and hygiene. I would just want to focus on the fact, of course, we're following all of the MDH regulations, all the things coming out of CDC. We've got branded masks for Augsburg University, of course, as always do. We're using a screening app called Campus Clear, which many of our colleagues are using. We have developed a testing relationship with the People's Center, which is directly across the street from Augsburg's campus on Riverside. So any of our students or faculty staff that don't have access to testing on their own, we have a relationship with the People's Center. We've created both quarantine and isolation policies on campus. So we are prepared from a health and hygiene standpoint. We also have focused on how especially student-facing services, and we have built a kind of a hybrid approach or a blended approach to having some people on campus working with those student support services and at the same time allowing others to continue to work remotely. I'm going to say a word about residence life in a minute and about our campus-wide commitment to teaching and learning. But I would just point to the fact that one of the toughest decisions that we had to make was, of course, around athletics, where the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Association made the decision now fully in place as of yesterday that we, in fact, will not have any intercollegiate athletics up through the end of the calendar year. Very difficult decision. About 40% of our students are involved in intercollegiate athletics, so you can imagine it was a big blow to them, especially for our seniors. The hope is that we'll be able to have at least a shorter season in some fashion in the spring, and that will be our challenge to try to make that happen. But and they are here practicing, so they're getting some of the best of the community building, team building that happens there, but they're not going to have competition. Another area of particular concern, of course, for a lot of our institutions are our music programs, which, as you know, choral singing comes to be one of the most dangerous things that you can do at this time. So again, using the technology to try to respond to this time. So we are offering our courses as you would find across our institutions, of course, all different contexts, different locations and the like. But I think in general, you'd find that most of us are doing some version of this. About 5% of our classes will continue to be taught face-to-face. And those are classes like small labs and programs that really require folks to be present. About 5% of our classes will be completely online, which in fact is the case every semester. 5% of our classes are online. And when we say online, this is a very specific way of thinking about, we sometimes use that phrase to talk about all types of technological driven education, but online actually is what we call asynchronous, almost an independent study use of the technology. So they don't have necessarily time directly spent face-to-face with faculty members. But 90% of our curriculum is in that middle category then with different blended models, some of which will have some face-to-face potentially, but others that will have be using the Zoom or other technologies. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we've bought a lot of different technologies that have now been able to expand what we can do there. And we have been training faculty all summer to be ready to provide flexible, engaging, and adaptable learning. And I think as you see at all of our institutions, that middle category is important because we do not want to be caught as we were in the spring, needing to reinvent classes on the run. We are now ready. If we have to go back online because of the virus, we will be ready to do that quickly and have already planned that out. People ask about residence and campus life, and of course, this is something that's very different across the entire state among private colleges. Places like St. Olaf and Gustavus and Carleton, which are fully residential, have a very different kind of way of thinking about this, and they've brought most of their students back. At Augsburg, we house about, in a normal year, house about half of our undergraduate students. We had to take about 200 rooms offline or 200 beds offline because of the nature of the residence hall. So we have about 800 students who are now back on campus, including my son, who is a sophomore here at Augsburg. So it's been my little sample of one about how much he wanted to get back to campus. We moved them in a phased way over the past 3 weeks, did that safely, cut down the amount of density. Dining is being done. If you were to walk into our cafeteria now, it's set up almost like a TSA queue line. Basically, you come up, you walk through the line, you grab some food that's pre-prepared, and you take it to some other place back to your room or to an outdoor space, which we've created as well. So, so students are here and they're engaged. We have the second largest class in our history this fall. So this is a sign that these young people want to be in college. They want this experience. They know the importance of a college education. And we believe we've done everything in our power to make campus safe for them as they return to us, or if they're staying at home and taking most of their classes online, we've been able to allow for both of those modalities as we come into the fall. This is the one thing that I would just want to mention before I close here, and that is probably you would hear from almost all the presidents across the country that one of the most important things that we have had to focus on is how we are going to keep each other safe, the kind of accountability. So this is just an excerpt from what we call our community commitment statement, which was sent to all faculty, staff, and students, and they were asked to affirm this statement. And what it does is it walks them through, again, the kind of responsibility they have for using the app, for social distancing, for wearing a mask at all times, for the kind of hand hygiene. They also, really need to have each other's back, if you will. And so this notion that at least early on, if you see somebody who's not wearing a mask in a place where they should have a mask on, to be gracious and civil in how you hold each other accountable and to be open to that. And so we've been very pleased. We have a series of videos that have been prepared by our students that are encouraging their colleagues to mask up, and to all the other things. I think one of the hardest things for students is understanding the physical distance requirements. It's interesting. You'll see them walking down the sidewalk, not wearing masks, and they may be a little bit apart from each other, but they don't realize how far 6 feet is. And so it's really a challenge to us to kind of help get their mindset and the culture changed around the ways that they have tended to behave in the past. And the final slide here is just to point to my point about kind of changing the narrative. We developed something called Augsburg Bold back in June, which is the framework that we've used all summer to talk about the return to campus this fall, or to return to an Augsburg education. So it's been a whole series of initiatives aimed at meeting student needs and expectations. And so for us, it included a tuition freeze. It also included actually additional financial aid. I think you would find that almost all of our schools did something along those same lines in response, again, to the kind of financial challenges that students and families were facing. We've also developed a whole set of, we did some special 2-credit courses for students online in August. We had 125 students who took these courses for free, and they were online so that students could have an experience of that before they returned here to campus. And we were fully subscribed, and we did kind of fun courses like one of our physics professors taught a 2-credit course on, he teaches courses on food science, and he taught a 2-credit course on how to cook in your residence hall room. So he made it very practical, but he also used the food science. And by offering those for free, we gave them a head start, but we also gave them an experience of online. And then we will have a whole series of events. This is just a model of how our campus quad is now set up, with tables, socially distanced tables and chairs, so that we have a permanent place, or semi-permanent, at least for the fall, where students can come, sit, have their meal, study, whatever they want to do, but also we will have programming throughout the fall specifically for our students. So Governor Walz has agreed to come over and talk a little bit about leadership during the pandemic. We have Jody Harpstead coming over, who is a former board chair here, and sharing her work. We've got artists and musicians who are coming. And so just a way to keep a sense of vitality, if you will, on campus at this time when many students will be taking most of their courses online. And that is all about shifting that narrative and helping students to imagine what comes next. And we've been very pleased with the response we have received to that way of talking about Augsburg in fall 2020, this epic historic moment. So I will stop there, and happy to answer questions when we get to that point. So.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And, I think I probably should have mentioned this when we started off. And Senator Clausen, I know your hand's up. I'll ask a question and then we'll move on to you. We are a far cry. I think it was March 10th when we had a hearing of the Senate Higher Education Committee, when basically that day the university, and then quickly after that, Min-State went to distant learning. And then I think our last hearing for higher ed was April 28th when we got an update on COVID. And it seems like probably a lifetime previously for you, Mr. President, in the preparation. So thank you and your team for all your due diligence and massive planning. I know this is something that's critical to your students and your staff and for everybody involved. If you touched on it, where are you at with regards to enrollment numbers from last year? Are you on pace? Are you a little bit down? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, so Augsburg has 3 distinct populations. So we have a traditional undergraduate population, and we are actually up year over last year with our undergraduate population at about 2,100 students compared to a little over 2,000 a year ago. So part of that is a function of a very large class that came in last year and the large class coming in this fall. Our adult undergraduate programs, which are the programs for students returning, are basically about where they have always been. Where we have seen a fall off, interestingly enough, is with graduate programs. We normally have about 900 graduate students across 10 or 11 programs. We have seen a drop off there of returning graduate students, and primarily in areas that have clinical aspects to them. So nursing, some social work, our PA program, physician assistant program, because those students can't get all those clinical placements. So they're actually not registering for that class. They will at some point, but we've lost some headcount in our returning graduate students because that is usually comes in the 2nd or 3rd year of their program. And so that's been the place where we see. So overall, we modeled financial revenue losses between $3 and $8 million with our budget models back in the fall. And I appreciate that we're at a different scale than the University of Min-State, but we're coming in right now at between $5 and $6 million. So like right in the middle of what those revenue losses are. We had made some tough financial budget decisions back in June where we actually froze our contributions to the retirement programs for all of our faculty and staff, as well as reduced salaries across the board. And we actually saved about, as a result of doing that back on June 1, for an annual basis, we actually saved about $5 million right there. So we had, by taking those early tough decisions and the sacrifice of our faculty and staff, we are actually feeling at least some level of confidence about where we are coming into the fall with what we've seen with enrollment.
Sure. And just another question with regards to the community commitment, as you've stated in the presentation or code of conduct, we've heard in a lot of other institutions, the situation at St. Olaf here recently. How is enforcement of that community commitment being handled at Augsburg and as far as your understanding the other 16 institutions for the private colleges?
Yeah, I think that, and people actually took different stances on this. I think at a couple of our institutions, it was a mandatory that it be signed, and we did not go to that route. And it's really about the culture of each place. We are basically counting, I think, as you'd find at most of our institutions, on an educational peer accountability way of doing it. We've seen it already. I mean, I've got students just outside my window here, all seated, and they're all wearing masks. And we gave them all masks, gave them hand sanitizer, and so they have all the tools. And with the mask mandate, which where you come down on that, I mean, the truth is that helped us. It also helped us that the mayor of Minneapolis shut down the bars. So we take all these things as part of the package, and we're a campus that is really based on community, and those values are very critical to us and have been for decades. And it's we're going to work very hard to make it something really, which really is about how we have each other's back and not have to move to some level of enforcement, which I just don't think for this age group doesn't get you anywhere. It only creates backlash. So for us to build a more positive message about why this is important is what we're really focused on.
Got it. Thank you, President. Senator Clausen, you have a question.
Yeah. President Prevenow, thank you very much for being with us today. Appreciate your update, and I wish you the best. As you're Augsburg has faced a lot of challenges in its first 100 years, and here you are entering its second 100 years and faced with a pandemic. And yeah, I know you have a lot of challenges and appreciate all the work you've done. Just a couple of things. One is congratulations. I see that Money Magazine gave Augsburg the most transformative college in America, one of those distinctions. You should be very, very proud of that. And then on a sadder note, I was disappointed and saddened to hear Luke Olson has passed away, a graduate that made his name at the University of Arizona, University of Iowa, as a basketball coach at the collegiate level. I know he visited the campus on many occasions when I was a student there, and he was always an inspiration. So I wish you the best as you enter the upcoming year, and thanks very much for the update today.
Yeah. Spoken like a proud alum of Augsburg University. So thank you, thank you, Craig. Yes, I would just tell you that when I went to Tucson, which I did fairly often to meet with Lute, to be out and about in Tucson with Lute Olson was quite an experience, because he was a beloved fellow there, and it was always a lot of folks to stop and shake his hand and congratulate him. So,
Great, Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair and Mr. President. Thanks for coming on today. Wondering about, do you know anything about the enrollment for the other 16 nonprofit schools and what you're hearing from them? Are they as fortunate as you are to have really good enrollment?
yeah, it's a great question. And we do, in fact, we are aware of each other's enrollments. And I think across the board, across the 17 of us, the enrollments are down just slightly, 1.5%, 2% on aggregate. I think, you know, for most institutions, that means they're basically right on target with where they, you know, want to be. I think we had a couple institutions that were dealing with some more fall off than they would have expected. And that, to be quite honest, that's almost always the case, that there is sort of a mix of experiences of institutions. I think many of you know, Senator Anderson, of course, is a proud Concordia graduate up in Moorhead, and when North Dakota got very aggressive, you know, they took a couple of tough year hits and have kind of come back. So I think it's really about the specific kind of circumstances of individual institutions. But overall, I think people have held their own going into the fall. Now, I would just say to you that I think all of us are very mindful of the fact that this will be a very different fall. And so we have actually built into our financial modeling the fact that we may lose more students than we would normally lose after the beginning of the term. And I think that'll probably be the case for any institution, but certainly across the private institutions, we know that this is not the experience for some students that they want or can be successful in, as much as we do everything to support them. And so we imagine we will have some what we call melt, if you will, that'll happen through the fall.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I think maybe one just last question. You know, the private colleges aren't as dependent on the state budget heading into the 2021 fiscal year with regards to the potential looming historic deficit. But one area that would be very impactful for Augsburg and the other institutions is a state grant program. Has there been any discussion, or can you just elaborate from your perspective the sense of what's coming, or what you can prepare or the students can help prepare for?
Yeah, we have had many conversations about this, because certainly as we've seen the news about the state's budget challenges, but one of the things that we go back to is that actually the last time the state faced a pretty significant budget challenge, Governor Dayton at that point actually increased his commitment to the state grant program, because we know that in these times, students coming to any of our institutions, private or public, they need to be in school, because we need them to come out on that schedule that will in fact respond to the economic needs of our region and state. And so I promise you, will be fierce advocates for that continuing program, because across, again, the University of Minnesota, the privates, this program is a model for the country in terms of the way that it allows students to choose where they go, and to be able to be in the right place for their own success, and then to come out and be able to contribute both to our economy as well as to our democracy. So we certainly know the challenges, and we've had those conversations with Commissioner Olson as well as with Governor Walz, but and I know I was on just last week with Senator Kent as well. So trying to make sure we're sharing the important news about the impact of the state grant program for all of us in higher education here in Minnesota.
I appreciate that. And I think Senator Cohn and myself won't be here next session if the rest of our committee members are here. I think they'll be all fierce advocates for the state grant program. I certainly hope for that, especially in the sense that it is going to be very challenging, but to make sure that the students are as less impacted by the brunt of this and allow them the opportunities to attend the schools that best fit for them is really critical. So thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the update. And now we will move on to Min-State if Chancellor Malhotra can hop on, and welcome back to the committee, Chancellor, if you're there. There he is. Chancellor, welcome back to the committee. If you want to go ahead, and I know we've got President Wacker and President Adewalgan also joining you as well. But if you want to go ahead, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Chair Anderson and members of the committee. I'm Devendra Malhotra, Chancellor of Minnesota State. Thank you for your time. Our partnership and dialogue with policymakers is crucial as we navigate the challenges of COVID-19. We're all in this together. Joining me today are President Robin Wacker from St. Cloud State University and President Adenuga Adewalagan of Riverland Community College, who will discuss the work being done on our campuses across Minnesota. As you can imagine, managing information flow across the system to be in compliance with the guidance from CDC and MDH and dispersing the funds set forth in the Federal CARES Act has been challenging. Vice Chancellor Bill Mackey, who is with me today as a lifeline, has been instrumental in leading and coordinating this work. We all know that safety is on the minds of our students, parents, faculty, staff, and campus leadership in every community we serve. At Minnesota State, we have continued to stay focused on two guiding principles: the safety of our campus communities and giving students a path to continue their educational journey. Over the past 5 months, I've been asked many what-if questions, as well as the hardest question of all: can you guarantee my safety? I wish I could guarantee 100% everyone's safety that comes to our campuses. However, what we can guarantee is we will mitigate risks based on guidance from CDC and MDH. Minnesota State will continue to be a partner with the legislature, Commissioner Olson, MDH, and the governor's office. Minnesota State implemented mandatory mask wearing prior to the executive order, and we will continue our sharp focus on social distancing. We developed a Minnesota State screening tool that will enable us to respond more effectively. We will have a public health statistics dashboard in place that will help the system office and the campus leaders in their decision-making process. And just as we did in the spring, we will not shy away from making tough decisions quickly to safeguard the health and safety of our students and employees. I'm proud of our students, faculty, staff, and campus leaders who have completed the spring semester and summer classes. Their resilience ensured that the students across Minnesota continued their education and had the skill set necessary to enter the Minnesota's workforce. Chair Anderson and members, while we are in a pandemic and a time of economic uncertainty, we must not lose focus on having a well-trained workforce to lead Minnesota's recovery. Our work is critical in this area. To balance safety and academic continuity this semester, 30% of the courses will be taught face-to-face, 48% will be taught online, and 22% of the courses will be delivered with a hybrid format. Enrollment is tracking a 6% decline system-wide, which will add to financial stress of our colleges and universities. The pandemic has impacted communities of color and economically fragile families disproportionately. And these populations make up a large number of our students. I want to let you know we are proactive in launching a statewide media effort. Over the summer, we have spoken with media outlets across Minnesota with a simple message. Minnesota State is the most affordable provider of higher education options, and we are open for business. I also want to briefly mention tuition and online costs at Minnesota State. The bottom line for this academic year is we did not receive the resources necessary to freeze tuition. However, the Board of Trustees and I felt strongly that we needed to respond to the needs of our students, and tuition for the fall semester was frozen. We were able to freeze tuition this fall by reallocating our leveraged equipment funding, and in addition, campuses had to make some tough reallocation decisions. I know this committee has had some spirited discussions regarding online tuition. Last spring, when we had to pivot as a system and move courses to online, students were not charged the online tuition rate. The same is true for our completed summer session. For the fall term, if a course is designed for online delivery and will continue to be delivered in that manner post-COVID-19, the online rates will apply. If a course was temporarily moved to online, the online rates will not apply. In my email to you a couple of weeks ago, I included a financial snapshot of Minnesota State. In that document, you will see the impact of the cuts that Minnesota State took in past economic downturns. The reality is, higher education was hit hard. I bring this up because I know you have made higher education a priority, and all of us will need to work together during the next session, given the budgetary pressures the state will face too. Please know our campuses are making tough budgetary decisions. The system office is also making multi-year budget reductions due to the fact that office's budget has been frozen in law since 2010. We do understand the moment we are in. Thank you, Chair Anderson and members. With your permission, I would like to turn it over to President Wacker.
Thank you, Chancellor. President Wacker, if you could join us.
There we
Welcome to the
go.
committee. Just state your name for the record and proceed when you're ready.
You bet. Thank you very much, Chair Anderson and Senators. I am Robin Wacker, President of St. Cloud State University. Thank you for this opportunity to share the work being done at St. Cloud State as we begin our academic year, which started August 24th. So I'll give you some statistics as well. Currently, 17% of our students have an all in-person schedule. 17% of our students have an all online schedule, and 66% of our students have a schedule with this mixed face-to-face and remote learning configuration. This has reduced the number of students on campus on any given day. And as I was walking around campus last week, it was notable that students and staff were all wearing face coverings and doing a pretty good job of keeping 6 feet apart. And certainly students were glad to be on campus to begin their educational journey or continue it in spite of how COVID has changed our operations. And I'm so proud of all of our Huskies for what they've been doing. I'd like to highlight just a few of the ways in which we have prepared to safely welcome students, faculty, and staff back to campus. In March, we established and continue to operate a 24/7 COVID helpline to answer questions and concerns. We held a number of Zoom town halls with students and parents to provide information and to answer questions. And with regard to our residence hall operation, the traditional move-in day was changed to a by appointment, what we call drop and go, in order to limit the number of people in the residence hall at any given time. We provided single room occupancy at double occupancy price. And we did this not only to reduce COVID spread, but students also have a room to stay under quarantine if needed. We also have a protocol in place to provide students living on campus supportive services such as remote learning and tutoring and meals provided to students who may be instructed to quarantine. Our dining service space has been rearranged and times are spread out with students assigned to times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And of course, as you can imagine, all of our classrooms, public spaces, and offices have been reconfigured to maintain that physical distance, which we know is so important. Also, a safety event plan has to be submitted and approved for every event on campus. And then, of course, the other piece, we all know how important it is to keep engaging our students in reducing the spread of COVID-19. And early in August, students began to receive information and messaging on a number of platforms about what to do to what we're calling Protect the Husky Pack. And the student government president and I sent a video message to students last week about this, and other reminders will continue to be sent throughout the semester. And as you can imagine, signage about what to do to stay safe and protect the pack is everywhere on campus. And finally, our health clinic director and director of emergency operations worked with our local public health and MDH officials to implement our own contact tracing using St. Cloud State, MSW, and nursing students as well. In closing, Chancellor Malhotra mentioned that enrollment is tracking down this fall. At St. Cloud State, our data show that new and returning student enrollment is down among students who are the most economically and socially vulnerable, students who are first generation, Pell eligible, and our students of color. We've been doing everything we can at St. Cloud State to reach out to those students to connect them with additional financial aid and other support services. But it's clear that it will take a concerted effort by higher education leaders and our legislators to do everything we can to blunt the impact COVID is having on so many Minnesotans who need access to a higher education degree, which is in turn needed to support the workforce demands in our state. Thank you for your time, and it is an honor to serve the state of Minnesota as the president of St. Cloud State. And with your permission, I'd like to turn it over to President Ettawoligan.
Well, thank you, President Wacker. If you could hold on, we may have some questions here from the committee, but President Attawoligan, welcome back to the committee. If you can join us, thank you. Good to see you again. If you can just state your name and proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Anderson and Senators. My name is Adenuga Attawoligan. I'm president of Riverland Community College with campuses in Albert Lee, Austin, and Owatonna, southeastern part of the state. Riverland is offering 525 courses this fall. About 50% of them have some in-person, face-to-face interaction component. And there are needs for hands-on training for many of our classes. Under normal circumstances, several of our career and technical classes, science and liberal arts, have substantial face-to-face interaction. Besides, many of our students learn better with some in-person tutorial, lab practice, and workshop skills. Just because we can offer the course online very well doesn't mean our students could learn that way. For instance, I use the example of technical math. Because somebody could offer technical math online doesn't necessarily mean that those students can learn best in that way. So from carpentry, criminal justice, chemistry, cosmetology to industrial machine maintenance and repair, construction electrician, technology, truck driving, and many health careers like nursing, medical assistant, and radiography. Those programs have direct impact on our local, regional workforce, economy, and community health. Well, one thing that has helped us at Riverland is that we started practicing reentry in a limited way in June after we learned the governor's executive orders allowed us to hold in-person instruction. We converted a large cafeteria and one of our unused shops into additional classrooms. We have a lot of communication with the students and faculty. We reduced class sizes and removed chairs in classrooms to allow for social distancing of 6 feet or more. Several classrooms mix face-to-face and Zoom technology. We ordered face masks and face shields for all instructors. In fact, one of our financial contributors purchased each enrolled student a cloth face mask. So we outfitted each instructor cart with sanitizing wipes, plexiglass sneeze guards, and extra face masks and face shields for our students. By mid-July, Riverland was confident that having practiced in-person instruction and services in the summer, even though in a limited manner, we could safely deliver face-to-face instruction. So we're not oblivious, though, to the challenges and obstacles due to the pandemic. We take seriously the two governing principles that Chancellor Malhotra outlined, and then we added one more of our own, that is to preserve as many jobs as possible. We laid a good communication network with students. I met with Student Senate and Student Senate leaders and other leaders of the student groups throughout the summer, and faculty throughout the spring and summer as well. We offer classes of the same course in multiple modalities for fall and allowed students to register in their own preferred learning style. We think if the fall semester was comparative to a baseball game, we have finished the first inning and we're a run ahead. We're hoping for more home runs than strikeouts. Based on Riverland coronavirus pandemic plan and the scenario planning that we've been helped with CDC and MTH and the system office, employees are ready to pivot if conditions require us to do so. Thank you for your time and leadership during these unprecedented times in higher education. Like the Chancellor said, we're all in this together and we'll get through it by working together.
Thank you very much, President Adewalegan. Appreciate your comments. Members will take some questions, but maybe first, whether this is for Chancellor Malhotra or maybe Vice Chancellor Mackey. Chancellor Malhotra, you mentioned about the online classes and the permanency or the temporary. If I recall correctly, it was about 25% of classes were online previously. Is there a further increase in the designations of permanent online courses, or has that remained the same?
Chair Anderson, I will pass this question on to my lifeline, Vice Chancellor Mackey, as he is more familiar with the data system-wide, which is coming in since we just finished our first week of the semester.
Got it. Thank you. Vice Chancellor Mackey, welcome back to the committee.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. And I believe I can partially answer your question. And we also have Kim Lynch on the line, who's our online expert who can help with my answer. The 25% of online courses that we've had, that number was continuing along its natural growth trajectory for our system, as it had been increasing each year over the past few years. So that is a portion of the increase, but for fall, that increase happened a bit faster. So the exact percentage, if I could defer to Kim to talk about exactly where that's at, that would be helpful.
Okay, Ms. Lynch, welcome back to the committee. If you could state your name and go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. My name is Kim Lynch. I currently serve as the Senior System Director for Educational Innovations with Minnesota State. And I would echo what Vice Chancellor Mackey shared, which is that I don't know that we have an entirely complete answer to that, in part because of the way we've been working with our institutions and our courses. So we had actually been hovering about 27% this past year that were fully online, either synchronous or asynchronous, or a blend of both asynchronous and synchronous, but again, online. And that's been ticking up a couple percentages every year for the last several years, I think, mainly based on our institution's planning and on student demand for those courses. So that has been increasing. Of course, in this era of COVID-19, there have been many who worked with their faculty over the spring and summer to transition courses to that, really what we look at as fully online. What I think we don't know completely is what the permanency of those will be, because we have really a couple of systems of coding. They're coded as online so students know what to expect, but there's also our ability to identify, as Chancellor Malhotra shared, if that will be a temporary course, and if so, the financial part of it, the online differential, will not be applied, which is kind of behind the scenes of that overall look at the 48% online that was mentioned. And if it's planned to be continued as part of the program, then that differential does apply. And I expect there'll be some uptick, just like there has been. It's really hard for us to know post-COVID-19 what will shake out as being temporary and what will become part of a portfolio of those online courses. So it's a little unclear at this point what the exact number will be, but right now, as Chancellor Malhotra shared, about 48% are online. Not all of those are being charged the tuition if they're temporary. And then even with our we also have the hybrid and the face-to-face, which even with those, I think, as President Wacker shared, there are options in place so that even though it's an online course, there are some high flex options for bringing technology into the classroom that can make it available remote for students. And that's just sort of another iteration of these variations of modality that we're seeing and come into play. So there's a lot still working its way out as we're understanding what this new era of learning may look like.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lynch. Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Chancellor mentioned a roughly 6% decrease in enrollment system-wide, if I heard that correctly. I'm wondering if each of the campus presidents can share a little bit more detail for us on their enrollment numbers on each campus.
And maybe start with President Wacker.
Yes, thank you. So we're tracking enrollment as we speak. Our add drop day is coming up. So we're tracking about that 6% down. But again, what's really sort of driving that number again is the significant decline in those vulnerable populations. So that's what I'm most concerned about, is how do we stay connected with those students. One of the things that we have instituted is a mid-semester start, because it may be that students weren't quite ready in August. Maybe they weren't financially ready or just comfortable with COVID. So we're continuing to reach out to those students so that they have an option of beginning the fall semester in October and taking courses and continuing on. We're also going to stay connected with those students to encourage spring enrollment. And, you know, this is COVID, right? We're in a pandemic. So we really are thinking kind of outside of the box instead of, you know, well, if you don't make it in August, then you have to wait till, you know, the summer or next August. We really are, the good news is we're really re-examining how we can serve students knowing that their worlds are a little topsy-turvy right now, and figuring out how to support them the best way we can financially and also academically, right? And emotionally, to make sure they know they can come and continue their education or begin an education.
Thank you. President Adewalegan?
For us in Riverland, in the aggregate, we're down about 8% this week compared to a year ago. Now, but that is because there are two buckets of our enrollment. There is the regular enrollment, then there is the concurrent or the PSEO agreement, PSEO option. For our regular student, we're down about 2.5%. But for the concurrent, we're down 98%. And that's because the high schools didn't really, until very recently, know what their schedules would be. So those students that normally take concurrent courses with us have not registered. We are thinking that by the time we get as many of the high schools to register, that we will probably be about 4% down. But that's, but for now in the aggregate, we're 8% down. I must say though, in many of our hands-on classes, such as electrician, auto, diesel mechanics, cosmetology, we have waiting list. We had students that have really come to those.
Great. Thank you. Maybe Chancellor Malhotra or Vice Chancellor Mackey, Do you have a perspective, or are you seeing any trends here with regards to the 4-year institutions to the 2-year institutions? Is there a greater deficit when it comes to the enrollment numbers in either of those systems?
Chair Anderson, I'll again defer to Vice President Mackey. He's been looking at these numbers a lot more closely than I have.
Great. Vice Chancellor Mackey.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. There is a bit of a difference. Our university sector is down in enrollment year to date 4.7%, and the college sector is down 7.1% year to date. And that's consistent with what the presidents were projecting for their campuses when we approved the fiscal year 21 operating budgets. At that time, universities, the 7 universities planned on enrollment being down 5.6%. So 4.7% down is a little better than that projection. And colleges at the time had projected to be down 9.1%, and that's about 2% better than they had projected. So the universities, because of a smaller number and their 4-year component, the graduate programs, their enrollment has been a little more stable during this pandemic than our college year or our college sector.
All right, thank you. Senator Draheim, you had a question?
Thank you, Chair. I guess just to continue on with those line of questions, the financial impact then of your 6% reduction, what are we looking at? You know, the state's looking at in my opinion, a 5 to 10% deficit of total spending, which would be $5 to $10 billion. And what is the state system looking at?
Chancellor Holtra or Vice Chancellor Mackey?
Yeah, Chair Anderson, Senator Draheim, as Vice Chancellor Mackey mentioned, that when we formulated our budgets, we had developed some projections as to where we were. And many of our colleges are within that band, but I will let the Vice Chancellor Mackey give you more detail around that.
Great. Vice Chancellor Mackey.
Chair Anderson, Senator Draheim, the budget that was passed by our board at the June meeting, we had a structural deficit of almost $58 million in the fiscal year 21 budget. And based on where our enrollment is as of now, we're still within that range of having that structural deficit in that $58 million range. Obviously, what happens the rest of fall and spring semester, and if there's any changes related to the pandemic or what our state appropriation is for fiscal year 21 would worsen that deficit. But for now, the projection is similar to what it was in June at about $58 million.
Chair?
Yep, Senator Draheim.
Okay, thank you. So moving forward, what's the plan to help reduce costs to shore that up?
Vice Chancellor Mackey.
Chair Anderson, Senator Draheim, the plans, most of the plans will happen at the college and the university level as enrollment. If enrollment being one of the drivers of having less revenue, the budget reductions tend to incur by having less academic programs, having not as broad of a curriculum available for our students, having less services, and doing a lot of belt tightening and doing everything first to do what can be done in trying to reduce fixed costs and costs that are away from as much as possible from the students and from the learning experience and the student experience. But each college and university would formulate their own plans in order to do that, and it would involve those buckets that I mentioned related to curriculum and programs and services.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor, or excuse me, yeah, Vice Chancellor Mackey. Chair Anderson, I have two other questions, but they're kind of off topic a little bit. Do you want me to wait or ask them now?
Why don't you wait? I do have one question as well from Senator Newton, who had some challenges getting online, but I'll ask this and then we'll move to the University of Minnesota. If everyone can just stay on, we'll try and move as fast as we can. And Senator Draham, if we can come back. Senator Newton's question is with regards to the next semester. We got a lot to handle here this semester, of course, but what are your plans for next semester and with regards to when it'll be decided, announced as to whether students will attend class in person, online, or a combination of some sort? So maybe I'll start with Chancellor Malhotra. What's the planning process for the institutions? We just got a couple minutes, but that's a big question.
Chair Anderson, Senator Newton, the great question. And we are keeping a close watch. As of now, it is our expectation that we will be able to successfully navigate under our current structure through this semester. And then we will keep a close watch. And as the conditions dictate, it is our intent to continue to provide both in-person and hybrid formats available next semester too. But as you know, this is an evolving situation. And as the information, we are continually working with Minnesota Department of Health and looking at the CDC data, and our campuses and our presidents are working with the local health authorities. So right now, we are in the same format as we were at, which currently are, that we are open for business, and we will continue to welcome students both on campus as well as in asynchronous and synchronous formats through hybrid and online options.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor. Sarah Clausen, do you have a quick question for our Min-State friends?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a question to follow up on Senator Draheim's question. And perhaps you could send us some information on this because you may not have the answer, but from an institutional or system perspective, could you give us an indication of cost-cutting measures that you're considering at this point? And again, if you could send that to us rather than responding to us now, I know time is short. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Clausen. Chancellor Malhotra?
Yes, no, I was Senator Clausen. We will be glad to do that, and we will get you that information.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, thank you, Chancellor and Min-State team. If you can hold on, if you have to go, I understand, but we'll shift to the university here. And then if there's any questions at the end, we may come back to you. I know Senator Drayton had another question.
Thank you, Chair Anderson.
Yep, thank you, Chancellor. President Gable, welcome back to the committee. Good to see you. If you could just state your name for the record and go ahead. And I think you've got some other folks with you as well. I don't know if they're going to have comments or be available for questions, but go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. My name is Joan Gable. I'm the president of the University of Minnesota. It's very nice to see all of you, Ranking Member Clausen, members of the committee. I don't remember which of my colleagues said earlier, maybe it was you, Senator Anderson, that April 28th feels like just a couple months ago and a couple of decades ago at the same time. And I know we've all been busy, to say the least, during this period of time, but it is very nice to see you. I want to recognize any members of the Board of Regents who are joining us remotely. And as you mentioned, Senator Anderson, I'm joined by our new provost, Rachel Croson, Jill DeBoer, who is the Assistant Director of CIDRAP and who also heads our emergency response team, and Dr. Jacob Tolar, who of course you all know is the Dean of our medical school, but is also our Chief Medical Officer for the university. They're available for questions. I'll make the presentation, but of course, they're what is the expression about surrounding yourself with smart people? So they're the subject matter experts. So members of the committee, since I saw you 400 years ago on April 28th, the university has taken a lot of difficult and transformational steps, as my colleagues have described, lots of similarities really across higher education to evolve and meet what is the worst health crisis of any of our lifetimes, with a key priority of keeping the university family healthy, safe, and well, but also curating our academic mission of research, teaching, and service, with much of that research and service being in direct service to the state with several programs that we've done in partnership with all of you. In particular, in mid-April, right before I saw you last, I charged our new provost, Rachel Croson, to lead a fall 2020 scenarios advisory team aimed at planning the delivery of academic content for this semester in the context of the pandemic. And they've been working ever since on all aspects of academic life, especially classrooms and labs. But above all else, as you've heard from everyone today, their work was grounded in the North Star goal, which is to strike that very difficult balance that we're all facing right now between keeping our community safe and doing what we do as our core mission, in our case, research, teaching, and service. For us, we've also anchored that North Star goal in a principle of flexibility so that we could adapt as an institution and as a system, and so that also individual people could make the choices that were best for them based on their own family circumstances, their health conditions, and other factors that they would be in the best position to discern in terms of what they felt comfortable doing or felt safe doing. So all of this was captured in a rubric that we've been calling the Sunrise Plan. And the Sunrise Plan has incrementally been used as our methodology of how we've brought more light onto campus and started to bring people back. We started with clinical care, not surprisingly, given who we are and what we do, and have also used the Sunrise Plan to bring back a lot of our services, a lot of our researchers back into the labs. And we also had a smaller slate of face-to-face classes in July. So in many ways, we are doing a lot of what we have done and already do. And it all went well from a planning standpoint. And those experiences informed the fall plan, added to the fall 2020 scenarios plan that Provost Croson worked on. And all of that was presented to the Board of Regents and approved in June. All based in research, consultation with our own public health experts, national and international experts, MDH, CDC, our peers at other institutions, shared governance, etc. We anchored it all in what we knew. We recognized that there's a lot that we don't know. There's still a lot that we don't know. Part of what we know, though, includes human behavior. We've heard a little bit of discussion about that today. Math, and some of the research around the virus itself, treatments, prevention, mitigation, and other attributes that have become more and more clear to us over time. And I do want to stop for a moment and express my appreciation to the entire university family, faculty, staff, students, parents, their families. We've had to pivot a lot. We've used the word pivot a lot. It's a dizzying process to go through something like this every time there's new information and having to make changes. And we also ache for what our recent high school graduates and now incoming freshmen have lost. And as many of you know, I have one. My youngest is now a college freshman as of a couple of days ago. It's not a lot of fun to be in that age group right now. And with no minimization of other types of suffering that a lot of members of our community are experiencing, we are thinking about that particular group of people a lot on university campuses. So we make these decisions with all of those points of view in mind. So since we started all of this 5 months ago, and since we brought the fall plan to the Board of Regents in June, there have been some advances and some clarity around what this has meant for all of us on higher ed campuses, including many of the campuses that you've already heard from. And there have been some struggles, as we've seen in the media, locally, nearby, and across the country. And we wanted to avoid those struggles. There was, in our minds, no reason to go face first into situations that many of our peers experienced, who themselves had relied on experts, made very carefully thought through plans, and yet still were experiencing surprising levels of transmission on their campuses. So just as some examples, I'm sure you've seen all this in the news, what happened at Chapel Hill, where infection clusters required first a shift to online instruction and then sending students home. Notre Dame, who had a very novel testing program, big national story, and yet had a big surge on campus. Maryland, Michigan State, and Rutgers as Big Ten peers having gone all online. Sharp spikes in the Southeast. Spike at the University of North Dakota, not far from us and very close to the Crookston campus in particular, with a surge so high that the National Guard is there helping them with some of their assurance programming. And schools similar in size to some of our regional campuses and our system campuses, East Carolina going online, Butler, the University of Maine, University of Toledo, all having to make changes in their fall plans. So it's a formidable challenge. We know this. I will add to that there has been some whiplash in guidance that we receive and are relying on because, well, we are obligated to, where some remarks from federal leadership changed the testing standards in ways that caught us by surprise, that differed from CDC guidance. And with CDC guidance changing rapidly within a 48-hour period, making some of our ability to find solid ground pretty challenging as well. But we developed our M-Test program, which is the program that we are moving forward with board approval and with guidance from the Department of Health, the CDC, and our own experts. And it's basically the same as the Minnesota State program. Statewide, we're pretty consistent about this. But we also know that testing is not a silver bullet. Testing itself does not cure the virus. It is information, useful information, and information that we rely on. But we knew we needed to do more than that in order to have a plan that helped us avoid most of the struggles that our peers experienced who opened before we did. And that gave us the capacity to anchor in as much solid ground as we possibly could. So last week, we asked the Board of Regents to modify the fall plan to delay move-in for students living in university housing on the campuses that had not opened yet. That's Duluth, Rochester, and the Twin Cities, for at least 2 weeks to provide some time to really evaluate what was happening around the country and close by, so that we could make sure that we felt that our plan was as likely as possible to avoid the struggles that we were seeing elsewhere. For Crookston and Morris, students had already arrived, and so we made sure we took as many of the lessons as we could from those in real time. They have hybrid delivery models, very similar to what you've heard from our colleagues, and are working very closely with MDH and our emergency response team, and also are in communities where cases in the surrounding communities are lower. So they've been able to manage within capacity, and things are going well on both campuses. Bringing that proposal to the Board of Regents was a very difficult proposal to bring forward. Really, this whole thing is, well, it's pretty difficult, I'll say. I don't think anybody would be surprised to hear that from any of us in higher ed leadership. No one likes this. It's not something that any of us benefit from. And all of us who work in higher ed, and I'll take some liberty and speak for my colleagues, nothing makes us happier than having our students around. And so finding ways to do that and move forward has been the guiding light as we work our way through this. But we needed that time, and we've used it well. And I want to share with you what has happened since then. So we have added another chapter to the university's Sunrise Plan that we're calling the Maroon and Gold Sunrise. Of course we are. And the Maroon and Gold Sunrise is how we are going to move students into university housing. It is a phased approach. It still uses the hybrid course delivery of some face-to-face, some hybrid, some distance learning that you've heard from everybody in the private schools and in the Minnesota state system. So this plan refers specifically to how we now reopen university housing and actually bring students back to campus on the Twin Cities, Duluth, and Rochester campuses. In the first phase, which will start a little earlier in Duluth than in the Twin Cities and Rochester, just because of how the class schedules work, students will move into university housing for an average of 10 days, depending on when they move in. They will be in sort of the dorm version of a stay-at-home order, where they can leave to attend classes, to eat, to exercise if they have to work. There are what I would call common sense exceptions, but otherwise they should stay at home, which would become their dorm room. If that phase or step goes well, using a holistic review that I'll detail for you at the end, because I know you'd like to learn more about that, then we would move to the next step. Step 2 opens access to more campus facilities, the rec, library, student unions, the surrounding community, and asks that students be home by 9 p.m. with also the same common sense exceptions if they work or have other reasonable reasons that they would have to be out later than that. If that goes well, using the same holistic review, we would extend the be home by time to midnight for 2 more weeks. And if that goes well, we would remove the be home by limit, and students would be on campus doing what students do in what we are now calling COVID normal, wearing masks 6 feet apart, avoiding large gatherings, but otherwise able to access all of campus facilities. So this, we believe, gives us the combination of information through the previous aspects of the Sunrise Plan that had been working very well for us, and some of the behavioral modifications that we've seen work on other campuses. I want to be clear that we're providing support for students during this period. We will have activities for them to do. We will have incentives for them to comply. We're striking the balance between something that feels imprisoning. We don't want that. We want students to be able to enjoy campus life. We want them to have a reason to come onto campus, but in a way that also allows us to incentivize avoiding the most known ways that transmission occurs, so that we can remain within our capacity, that we can stick to a standard that has been our standard all along, which is that our campuses are as safe as any place else. And we are very optimistic that by using this process, we'll see our way through to Thanksgiving, which from the origins of our fall plan has been the moment when we would pivot everything back to online and students could return home. So in closing, I want to thank you and your staff and this committee for your partnership and support and oversight. We welcome your questions, including questions that could go to our provost, to Dr. Tolar, or to Jill DeBoer for their much more intelligent response than mine. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Appreciate it. We've got a couple questions. I guess, can you help me understand, as decisions are made by the university, yourself, and the rest, what's that process looking like as you're pivoting and you're making adjustments on a weekly, daily basis, whatever it is? I mean, administration, you've got regents, you got faculty, you got the unions, you got the students, the student association, you got a lot of who's involved in those. And I understand from the national perspective, you're looking at a lot of data, but here for the decisions made for the University of Minnesota, can you help me understand that a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Chair. So tactically, we've stood up a committee that is part of our policy to stand up, which is called the Emergency Management Committee. We've expanded that committee to include more people than it normally does. So we use that committee if we have bad weather. We use that committee when we had H1N1 a few years ago. So the existence of that committee is recognized in policy, but we expanded it so that we had faculty leadership as part of that committee. All of the chancellors are part of that committee. Most of the cabinet, my executive team, so to speak, is on that committee. And then we have standing meetings with other governance groups that are not on that committee so that they're kept informed, like student government leadership, for example, the unions, for example. So every decision that has eventually percolated up and become part of the plan was brought into that committee, vetted, brainstormed before it then went to the other groups that you described, or where appropriate to the Board of Regents. A lot of what we're doing is operational, but things that are within Board of Regents governance or purview has then percolated up to the Board of Regents either during the regular meeting process or through several special meetings that we've scheduled in order to address the decisions that we've had to make.
Okay, thank you. So I've got Senator Miller, followed by Senator Jensen, Senator Abler. Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to thank all the higher educational leaders in the committee today for all your hard work and efforts and focus on keeping students, faculty, staff, and others safe. These are certainly difficult and uncertain times for all of us, and your efforts are very much appreciated. President Gable, I do have a specific question for you or one of your colleagues at the U. I have some constituents who have students attend different U of M campuses, and they brought forward a complaint to me, and I'll be honest, I don't know all the details, but something about an acknowledgement of a COVID risk and agreement to pay tuition and fees that students have to click on or sign off on before they can get into their email. And to the best of their knowledge as parents, they weren't notified that their students have to sign off on this acknowledgement. Can you share a little bit of detail on that for me, please?
President
Sure.
Gable.
Mr. Chair, Senator Miller, so actually having an acknowledgement at the beginning of the semester that students have to click through in order to go into course content is pretty typical for us because it is the one place where students get information at the beginning of the semester. So it's normally something that no one pays any attention to. It's there for acknowledgement purposes. Things like don't forget to order your books. It can vary from information to things that are much more formal than that. Right now we have something that the students click through that acknowledges that COVID is a risk and that they are taking courses that come with tuition. It is an acknowledgement. We've communicated about it since to make sure that students understand that they're not signing a waiver by clicking through, but we are making them aware. And we feel like we need to make them aware, even if they don't necessarily want to hear it, frankly, that this is how we manage this time that we're in. This is how we push out information. And it's not a contract or a legal document. It's just an acknowledgement.
Mr. Chair, President Gable, thank you for that clarification. Do you know if parents have been notified or given that same information that the students are acknowledging before signing into their email?
President Gable.
Mr. Chair, Senator Miller, we sent an email. I'm not sure everybody reads all of their email.
I think we're all guilty of that at some point. But.
And I might be speaking from experience, but if there's a parent if you're still hearing from a constituent, of course, this would go for everyone on the committee or any of your colleagues to please let us know. We would be happy to address the concern directly with that family.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, President Gable, for your presentation. Certainly, I would echo Senator Miller's comments regarding the challenges you've had, each and every one of you who has already testified, and for all those who haven't. It is really an odd time, I understand that. But could you, for me, President Gable, you mentioned in your comments that you would like to do all that you can to create an environment where students would want to come on campus. And I didn't really, from my perspective, I didn't really hear many bullet points that would make a student want to come on campus. It sounded to me like a stay-at-home plan in a 12-foot by 15-foot dormitory room could be problematic on numerous levels, particularly mental health, but also just the loss of autonomy and the entire transition from high school to college. It seems like the plans you've put in place, while I understand they're your best efforts to keep people safe, they are troublesome for me. So I guess my question is two parts. Could you just review for me what it is that would make it attractive for a student to want to come live on campus with the parameters you put in place? And then the second thing is, if you were absolutely in charge for a day and you could do anything that you wanted or that you thought was best in regards to doing what you're trying to do in terms of opening the university, what would you tell the legislature would be the most help for you in trying to, if you would, almost in an emperor kind of fashion, you get to decide and you get to tell the legislature what it is you'd like us to do to make your job easier and the student experience better? Thank you.
President Gable.
Mr. Chair, Senator Jensen, that second question. All right, I'm going to stall by answering the first question and think about that. Okay, so what we're trying to do is find a really, really narrow balance between the safety and campus life, which has been the challenge for all of us. And so, and some of this, and my son would be horrified, but I'm watching very closely what his experience has been, and his friends scattered. They're all at different schools. So I'm hearing a few data points, if you will, of intel from a variety of freshman perspectives and talking to our peers and colleagues. that one of the key things, the first few days, I don't think I could be anything but honest with you to say that that first period is not going to be much fun, right? It's not going to be zero fun, but it's going to be a very tamped down level of campus life while we reintegrate on the Twin Cities campus and certainly in Duluth, thousands of students all at one time into an ecosystem. But this is the way that we think we can do it and then sustain it. But if we can do this right in a matter of less than 2 weeks, then we start to open things up again. And it starts to feel a lot more like the new normal. I know we all hate that phrase, but where you can go to different things, you can be out and you can have study group meetings, and you can meet with your professor if they're on campus, and you can go off campus and eat. You just get home before the biggest temptation starts. And if that goes well, then we start to open things up gradually. So we feel like this is the way to balance exactly what you're saying. But it gets a lot more fun over time if we make the hard choices in the beginning. Sorry.
Okay. President Gable, yeah, part two.
Okay, so with my colleague JD Burton listening in, I will say first and foremost, we always appreciate, as Chancellor Malhotra mentioned, the investment by the state into higher education. I would be remiss if I didn't start with appreciation for the way in which resources solve so many of our challenges. But with that said, over time, real support for the partnership between what all of us are doing that have large groups of people together and what's happening to support our ability to do the research into vaccines, mitigating treatment, and cheap, fast testing. We have the scientists to do it. It's just a question of the investment into those things, because then we're very happy to push them out, not only for our campus, for all of our campuses, and for the state, in order for us to be having more of the fun and less of the restriction as fast as possible.
Senator Jensen, you good there?
I'm very good. Thank you, President Gable, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thanks, Senator Jensen. Senator Abler.
Well, thank you. Well, I really appreciate the hearing. I've been listening actually pretty good throughout. And I got a couple of things. I'll just make this one time of a couple of thoughts. It was really encouraging to hear the Augsburg and the private schools were sort of close to on track with their enrollments as well as Minnesota State, compared to the whole system just caving in. And so we certainly have our hands full, and I just wanted to commend them for what they've been doing there. So that was pretty good. And to President Gable, I remember when we first met, and what's that, may you live in interesting times. You certainly have gotten, whoever wished that upon you, you might want to revisit that wish. But I wanted to really thank you for, Senator Jensen had some thoughts about the specifics of the plan and all, but I'm happy you have a plan. I'm happy that there's a 2 weeks and there's another interval time, so that the students can know what to expect. And probably given the complexity and the largeness of your place, you need something like that. And so it was kind of refreshing for me to hear. And I just can't avoid saying in stark contrast to the governor, who has open-ended everything. I have a feeling you had quite a process. As you mentioned, you listened to the CDC and the Department of Health and your own folks, and I'm sure faculty, and I'm sure students. And I'm expecting it was a very inclusive process. And so speaking for people who are trying to live on the outside of this, who aren't doing higher ed right now, they are very insecure about what's going to happen. And to Senator Jensen's concern, I think it's valid, but at least the students get to go to school, and you had a process, and I think it could be changed as you move forward. So I mostly wanted to commend you for that. And I don't know what's going to happen in this next session coming up, but I'm Mr. Chair and members, I think that if people were concerned about the state of higher ed in Minnesota, they should be very pleased with the array of leaders that we saw today who are jumping into this with their dedication to the students and an inclusive process and the challenges of keeping Minnesota at the top of the pack for higher education and the future. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Madam President, I don't know if there's a question in there, but if you want to respond to that, and then Senator Draheim's up next.
Mr. Chair, Senator, just thank you.
Sure, thanks.
Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. I guess the two topics that I wanted to talk about, one is the topic I always bring up, which is the cost of online courses. And with the hybrid courses being taught, I guess I'd ask both systems, are they collecting the syllabi for future use? Are we going to be able to reuse what's been done? You know, that was part of the pushback for the Z degree bill that we had a little bit. The cost of setting that up. Well, we're doing more online courses now, and you know, what are you using this tough situation we're in for the future for reducing the cost of classes?
Maybe we'll start with President Gable, if you want to turn it over to a colleague or answer yourself, and then we'll turn it over to Min-State.
Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, I'll answer that. The shift to online education I'll obviously just speak for the U, we have no additional fees that we're charging as a result of what we're doing now. And in fact, we, as you know, held tuition and fees flat this year. We did have some pre-existing online programs that had very small supplemental fees. They're not across the board for online education, just like some of our academic programs have specific fees, as we provided to you in a memo, a few months back, as I'm sure you are familiar with. We are learning a lot, obviously, about many things, and that would be a national conversation around some of the silver lining in distributed learning. And as one of my colleagues mentioned earlier, how this pushes us outside the box, and some of that will stick for sure in terms of how we can reach students, timing, a lot of the structures that we held as sort of all true, September to December, January to May kind of thinking is likely to shift over time, not just here in Minnesota, but I think you'll see a lot of that nationally, and some of that had already started, and then the pandemic catalyzes it. Where we find savings is a little harder to see right now. I think you're right to ask the question, and I suspect it's in there. Right now, we're so tactical in trying to get everything stood up for the first time that it's hard to see, but we are absolutely saving everything and really thinking about what we're putting in place now that then becomes the foundation for the future, which should save us some of the startup for some of the programs that are likely to emerge from this. So I don't have a specific answer for you, at least from the U, except to say that I'm optimistic that there will be a variety of positive outcomes from this down the road.
Thank you, Madam President. Chancellor Malhotra.
Thank you, Chair Anderson, Senator Draheim. Online offerings have increased even before the pre-COVID-19 situation. As you well know, we have committed ourselves to reviewing the whole online structure and understanding better that as these programs mature, what ought to be the fee structure. And in that regard, we have frozen our online differential now for past 2 years. And I've also now extended that for the next 2 years also. And along with that, even with including the online differential, we are still one of the lowest affordable education providers in the state. And also, when it comes to the question of affordability, we look at it a lot more holistically. Going back to Senator Abler's comments, we are also looking at other ways in which also we can affect the cost of attending the college, whether it is creating Z degrees where we remove the textbook costs and other elements, and whether it is a question of looking at other ways in which we can use technology to lower the cost of providing some of these services. So we are looking at the whole gamut of our costs and revenue structures, and that is particularly in light of leading up to our next biennial budget request. That would be what we would be doing for next 4 to 5 months.
Thank you, Chancellor. And I know we're coming up to the 2:30 mark here. If you can just hold with us just for a few more minutes. I know Senator Draheim has a follow-up question, and then Senator Clausen has a question, but Senator Draheim.
You know, I'll let Senator Clausen go. I've hogged a lot of the time.
Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. President Gable, again, thanks for being with us today. As I remember the last time we talked 200 years ago, it seems, you were projecting, I think, over a $350 million deficit at the end of the summer school. Similar to my question in the Minnesota state system, could you provide a summary report on your institutional response to that deficit, and what is your plan going forward as you move into the current school year? Okay. Thank you.
All right, President Gable.
Mr. Chair, Senator Clausen. So the 350 million was the projected loss through the fall, actually. So, and that was the maximum projected loss. We're still tallying because we're a little later than Minnesota State. We don't have that number that the Chancellor referred to where we see the final enrollment. We'll know all of that in about 2 weeks. But even if using the $350 million, hopefully, cap of projected loss. So we started last spring with hiring freeze and canceling a lot of activities that we had already budgeted to do. Those were immediate savings. As you know, we pulled our raise off the table that was already in the budget for the second year of the biennium. So that was a budgetary savings, even though it was, had not yet occurred. We have some, what we are internally calling natural savings. We're not traveling. Our utilities are down. That would be true, I assume, for all of us. Although when the university consumes fewer utilities, it's a savings for us, but not necessarily for everyone else when you think about what that does to the economy as a whole. We have gone through then at the unit level who have a lot of budgetary independence. So this would be the deans on the Twin Cities campus and then individual units like athletics and others. And then the chancellors on each of the system campuses to start projecting out their own stair step where they would make cuts that are specific to the unique challenges and opportunities and resources that they have. And then the central administration goes into then backfill because some of them have more degrees of freedom than others. We've taken a voluntary pay cut plan. The faculty and staff did this voluntarily, developed it through shared governance. It also stair steps so that the highest paid take the biggest cuts. And some of our faculty and staff at the lower end on salary take no cut at all. That is a first phase. If we have to do more of that, we're prepared to. We, of course, hope we don't have to, but we think it should start with us. And then we froze tuition and fees.
Senator Clausen, a follow-up?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, President Gable. As you move forward with your plans, if you could just keep us updated, I think we'd all appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Senator Clausen. Madam President, just kind of touching on maybe part of that response, you mentioned that you may not have the full numbers on enrollment or some kind of percentage, but do you have any projections on the 5 campuses or the system as whole with regards to whether there's a deficit in enrollment or increase?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so looking specifically at freshmen, so the Twin Cities campus had a watermark year last year, and we're down 100 freshmen from that watermark. So we're still looking pretty good, relatively speaking, but it is a slight decline from the year before. Rochester is up a little. The other 3 campuses, Duluth, Crookston, and Morris, are down. To varying degrees, ranging from 4% to 11% in Morris. So on the whole, we're not down precipitously. The composition is different. We have more Minnesotans, which we're very happy about. We, not surprisingly, have fewer international students and fewer non-reciprocity students. Most of our peers in other states have also similar composition. So students are staying closer to home. as I think we've seen in the conversation from all of the different types of higher ed institutions that you've heard from today.
Great, thank you. Members, any final questions for President Gable or any of our other guests? I don't see any. President Gable, Chancellor Malhotra, President Bribineau, and our other presidents and guests, I really appreciate you taking the time, giving us an update. Challenging days for sure. Some of my colleagues have referenced it, and our appreciation for the hard work that you're and the pressures you're under can't be understated. So thank you for all you're doing. If we can be helpful, we're in an interesting season of elections and everything else, but as we move forward in the preparations for next session too, the budgets are going to be challenging, I know. So any conversations that we can be helpful with in the weeks to come, please let us know. But members, with that, we're adjourned with this special committee hearing. Thanks for participating.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Anderson.
Thank you.